Very good afternoon, Ms. Louisa. My name is Siddharth. I'm looking after the MRV program here at GCGI. And thank you so much for kindly agreeing to join this session on the at the NDCP Pavilion that we're doing. As I told you, this is the NDCP Pavilion event that GCGI is doing to talk about adopting net zero and enhancing the climate action with gender perspectives in NDCs, the kind of work that the member and partner countries of GCI have carried out with the support of NDCP through their climate action and enhancement package CAP project support. And as a general introduction to the participants, Tonga has developed an M&D framework for mainstreaming NDC adaptation components. And there's one more project which was on developing the requirements for the greenhouse gas database management system. These are the two components delivered through CAP support. And here we have our director, Ms. Luisa Maldolo, the director of the climate change Tonga, who has kindly agreed to speak about the experience of Tonga in mainstreaming the M&D framework and adaptation components in the NDC. Thank you so much. Ms. Louisa, please.
Well, thank you. Before I proceed with sharing my Tonga's experience with integrating adaptation into its NDC, I would like to thank the NDC and CAP and also GCGI for supporting Tonga to implement this very important activity. With regards to our experience with integrating adaptation into the NDC, Tonga's NDC, I know that most of the NDCs only focus on mitigation. However, Tonga's NDC, we cover both mitigation and adaptation. This adaptation component is related to marine management areas. So this shows the importance of Tonga's considering ocean and climate nexus notion as a priority for our country. Yeah? We know that ocean is one of the major sinks or removals of greenhouse gas emission. It's not only that, but most of our people's livelihood depends on the ocean. And because of the impacts of climate change on ocean, on the marine and the fishery sector, we therefore address that as a priority adaptation area to be reflected in our NDC. I know that future NDCs we are going to include other resilient sectors in our future NDCs, but we start with these marine management areas. That is marine protected areas and special management areas. With regards to the monitoring and evaluation framework, one of the good thing about this work, we have already established a monitoring and evaluation framework for our joint national action plan on climate change and disaster risk management. So this is not a new concept or a new work for Tonga. We use this fund from NDC partnership and also with the assistance of GGI, to build on the existing work, the work that is already in place. So we more or less add value to the work that is already existing. So what the MNE framework does is we revise government's plans, and also key sectors, government enterprises. We have revised their plans and integrate NDC targets, which include this adaptation target, into the plans. And not only that, but also we have consulted key line ministries, government ministries, and non-government organizations and private sectors during the consultation process or consultation phase of this work, and then collate all those feedback and information, and then the consultants and funded under this the NDC Partnership Fund to collate all the informations that have been collected. And then there was a national consultation conducted to present the findings and also to seek the comments and the feedback of the stakeholders. And then those comments were integrated, incorporated into the final draft, and then it was presented back to the stakeholders for validation, and before the report was finalized. So I just mentioned that it's just to share the process where we undertake in this activity. So the one of the strengths of this work is also in relation to the institutional arrangement or institutional framework that's already in place. So this MNE work was, I think it was very helpful to have this institutional framework in place. It helps the consultants in GGI to fast track the finalization of this document. So going back to the institutional arrangement, I refer it to the having a Department of Climate Change at the Ministry of MADAC as the coordination agency for this work. So Climate Change Department coordinates with all its relevant stakeholders the work, and it makes the work faster and easier. So we also established a climate change technical group, which is composed of experts from government ministries, NGOs, and private sectors, and we also have a high level decision-making committee to get this document endorsed. But I think that's just in addition to how we integrate adaptation into our NDC, and I would also like to point out adaptation is very, very critical to us small island developing states, including Tonga. Even though our greenhouse gas emission is negligible in comparison to global scale, but it doesn't stop us from implementing mitigation actions. But the reason why we integrate adaptation into the NDC, because we ask the most vulnerable countries, adaptation is it's even a priority to us. Yeah? It's a real priority to us, and that's why we believe that we have to have a mitigation and also an adaptation component in our NDC. I think I'll stop there, unless if you wanna ask further questions.
Thank you so much, Ms. Malolo. So, and obviously, adaptation is one of the most critical ones for all the countries, and as you rightly said, all the more pronounced for SIDS, and it makes absolute sense that you are giving a bit more priority to adaptation than mitigation, because as you rightly said, your footprint on global scales is quite minuscule. So, and thank you so much for going through the process of integrating the M&D issues as well as adaptation. So, based on what you said, I had just a couple of quick questions to put to you.
Okay.
One was that you said that you prioritize the ocean and ocean related marine management areas, etc. And my question was that how did you go through the process of selecting these priorities? Like obviously, maybe there could be other potential sectors as well. How did you go about prioritizing the adaptation sectors? Because that I think is a good learning point for several other SIDS as well.
Okay. First point is regarding the availability of data, credible data. They have data in place. That's one point, and also they've already there's already good work in place in regards to establishment of marine management areas. So we believe that using NDC to strengthen the existing work that Ministry of Fisheries and the Department of Environment have implemented so far, and also the importance of ocean to our little island, because there's a source of livelihood for our country, and also there are also sector plans available. I mean, in place, like the special management areas, the marine protected areas, and there's recently we have this marine special planning for ocean management.
So thank you so much for covering the important issue of having credible data and plans in place, because it makes sense that you work on existing systems so that they can be continued. And I think that quite rightly points to the other thing that you had mentioned, that even
Sorry, there's also one point I want to add on. Our first NDC, we set a target to double the number of marine protected areas by 2015. So I think as of now, we've already met the target, and there's also another reason why Ministry of Fisheries and Environment, they want to set up, include these MBAs, these marine managed areas in the second NDC, because they also intend to expand SMA and MBAs to 30% of the Tonga's exclusive economic zone. I think that's one of, I think that also they want to, to continue on the work in, they would like to expand the coverage of MBA and SMA to cover 30% of Tonga's exclusive economic zone.
Thank you so much. So that kind of also plays into the prioritization, right? So as you rightly said, like you prioritize not just your livelihoods, and the economy, but also what is already there. Thank you so much. Could you please talk a little bit more about the high-level commitment, government-level commitment on mainstreaming issues and adaptation leadership, so that's something that we could reiterate the leadership of SIDS on these issues for adaptation issues and mainstreaming these issues.
Okay. With regards to mainstreaming of climate and disaster resilience in Tonga, it's already integrated into our national development framework, which we call it the Tonga Strategic Development Framework. So it's already reflected as one of the key priorities and key national outcome. Climate resilience, climate and disaster resilience. Not only that, but we also have a high-level committee. Committee at ministerial level and also parliament level. So we have a committee at cabinet who who provide high-level advice to our climate and disaster resilience work. And also at parliament level, we have established a committee which is called the Environment and Climate Change Standing Committee. So, for example, the role of that committee in parliament, if we have a law, if we have a bill, right? So, for example, we have recently submitted the Tonga Climate Change Fund bill, which was very supportive by our standing committee in Parliament. So by the time the bill gets into Parliament for discussion and also for consideration, our committee in Parliament, they supported and they defend our bill in Parliament, which led to the approval of our bill in Parliament in August this year. So that shows the high-level commitment, the support that we receive from high-level decision-making people and committees in Tonga. And not only that, but when it comes to, so that's policy and planning, but with regards to financing, Tonga has established a climate change trust fund. So that trust fund was established in 2013. So it was approved by cabinet, and it was envisaged as a viable financing mechanism for Tonga, whereby vulnerable groups and vulnerable communities can access that fund in a fast, in a quick manner. Be mindful of the lengthy process, the approval process of GCF and CHEF and EU, the time it takes to assess and approve a proposal submitted by small island developing countries like Tonga. But through the establishment of this trust fund, Tonga believe that it's a fast way of accessing a fund. So that fund is already operationalized since 2013. So far, communities have accessed the trust fund. So the idea of getting the trust fund bill passed by Parliament is to make sure that that we have a strong governance of the fund, and also to make sure that the fiduciary, the financial management of the fund is in accordance to the donors' standards and requirements, and those requirements. So we get the high level support, commitment to that establishment of the fund. So coming back to how the fund was established, we managed to use 5 million of from one of our climate resilient project to as seed funding to establish this trust fund. So every financial year, government of Tonga contributes to this fund, even though it's small, but at least there is a commitment from government. So that also shows that the support and high-level commitment to climate and disaster resilient work that we are currently doing. So this M&E framework, it's very our high-level committee. They're very supportive of this work. So, and we've been using this M&E framework to, to ensure that our NDC targets are implemented on time and in line with, the timeline that we set in our work plan. And one thing with that's one of our lessons learned from our JNEP M&E. We have already established M&E contact or focal point from 14 ministries and organizations. So that focal point represents that government ministry, and the role of that focal point or that person or that officer is to report to us on status of their corporate plan, if resilience is already integrated into their so once we call a meeting, that representative from that line ministry or organization attends our meeting where she or he can report on status of their work. So that's how we implement our M&E, and that shows different level of support from different levels of in Tongan society. Yeah? So and we even have a representative from women, from women's division at Ministry of Internal Affairs, and also a representative from NGOs, and also disabled group. We know the importance of engaging everyone in work that we are doing and making sure that no one is left behind, and also the importance to designate an M&E person to make sure that that person is following up the work from a respective organization or NGO, or perhaps a disabled group, or even faith-based organization. So I think I'm just sharing with you the different levels of engaging in the M&E work from the community up to the decision-making level in Tonga.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's quite important to say that this is not something that one institution or one organization can do. So this is the collective effort of the country, and I'm sure you know it, and everyone knows the kind of benchmark that Tonga has been setting consistently. So I guess
we have the notion of a whole of government approach. So everyone is part of the work.
Thank you so much. So I guess that kind of brings us to the 20 minutes of about allocated time.
Okay.
So I have taken the liberty of including question and answer sessions and asking on behalf of the participants who will be looking at this recording at a later time. So thank you so much for your.
So I think I've already done my part, so I can just play.
Absolutely.
It's tricky. You just edit it and then just present it.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much.